Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk Luxury. I'm your host, Alex Brandau, a Nashville, Tennessee-based global luxury real estate specialist and someone who is endlessly curious about the people and stories behind refined experiences. On this show, we go beyond the surface, diving deep into the craft, culture, and character behind what luxury really means today. We're back with Let's Talk Luxury. Today, we have a very special friend of mine here locally in Nashville who's going to share some of his insights, experiences in one of the industries that we all love to talk about. And if you don't, I don't know why you're listening to our podcast, because it's one of our favorite things to do in these days, and that's eating. So, Sean, welcome to Let's Talk Luxury. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for saying yes, and glad to have you on early. So let's jump right into this. Tell us how you came to be an authority in luxury restaurateuring and the journey that you've been on in your career.
When I was little, I always used to watch Disney shows, I guess Disney or any other shows, and I thought, why can't people just have a happily ever after? Why wish for it? Just make it happen. And so my world, whatever was in my genealogy, I ended up liking style. As a straight man, I enjoyed style. Since I was 12 years old, I danced at a serious level, which led to me being a professional in that world. So there's a lot of ballroom dance, which has a aura of luxury to it. A lot of people that participate in it. When I was younger, I did not have that. I had to work for it. And the way I worked for it was in restaurants, but coincidentally, I did have an equal passion for restaurants, which we all know there's a lot of luxurious experiences that go on in restaurants, despite what goes on in the background. So my whole life has been an interest in this muddy but amazing world of providing great experiences for people.
Yeah, that's amazing. This is why we're here. And you definitely are in style and winning the style points today with your fabulous fit. I'm just in a boring master shirt. No big deal. You're winning the day. Well done. So tell us one of the things, what's a big misconception people have around the restaurant industry?
Well, I think the biggest misconception is, I guess, the money that's involved in appreciating the people that bring you the luxury, but they also misconceive why people are in the restaurant industry. I think a lot of people that are in the restaurant industry do it for things other than money. And it's the things that actually provide people the feeling that luxury provides. And I would say that art provides. So the things that luxury and art provide is inspiration and reasons to keep on living, to be excited with living, right? People don't spend a 50% margin. I'm talking about jewelry or something here, maybe probably 80%, but they don't maybe spend a 20% or a 10% margin on food or a crazy bottle of wine because of the cost. They spend on it for the experience, and something that's going to be memorable and impactful in their life. And I always think of it as kind of like a Pac-Man. The Pac-Man's going on in life, and there's that little dot, the little energizer piece that it eats up and it gets excited and it moves faster. And so that's what luxury, style, a great dining experience is to me, is those things to help you keep moving on and to celebrate and to live life. I mean, it's what life's all about, in my opinion.
No doubt. I was in a dinner recently with a good friend that we were at a dinner, and there was someone, the sommelier came up and was telling the host of the dinner, he was like, hey, we actually just got a case of this special wine that they get in from Japan that's apparently very difficult to get under 10 cases annually. And we went through it, and it was such an interesting experience. He was telling us all about it. Of course, it was new to me and very limited. So it's very rare, very sophisticated process of production. And then I will never forget this, because I took a picture of me and the box that it came in, that apparently they also make samurai sword handles out of the same wood. And I'm like, even if that's not true, it worked on me. The imagery, and then I'm like, cool. So I took a picture of me in the box. So interesting. Tell us, by the way, where you are and your all's restaurant group here in Nashville.
So we have 3 restaurants in Nashville, all kind of different levels of comfort. We have one place that is in Germantown Café. It's been around for 23 years. We have one in Sylvan Park, which is another very cute neighborhood that was originally like the Nashville elite restaurant where Johnny Cash. We had the leads. A lot of the stars came back in the day. And then we have Carrington Row, which we just opened about 7 months ago in Brentwood, Tennessee. So like I said, we're very excited to be part of the neighborhood, especially in a city that has so much history to it.
Well, and so much food, right? And Nashville is a good food scene. So it's totally appropriate for you to be here and sharing some of the things that you're doing and across the entire group and all the various platforms. Definitely some of my favorites as a hyper-local native Nashvilleian. That's where we met. We met in Germantown Café, which has always been one of my favorites. And still to this day, 2 of my favorite untouchable, iconic, destinationable things there. And let me see if you want to take a guess at what my two are out of Germantown?
A coconut curry salmon and the plum pork or French
Nope.
onion soup.
Boom. You got it. It took you 3 guesses, but you got them. Plum pork for sure. And French onion soup. Oh my God. Either one, totally destinationable for those of you out there. So shameless plug by me, but I'm the host, so I get to do that. So let's take a little turn into the industry. Tell us about particularly extraordinary piece of experience, service you've encountered in your career, either as a patron or that you've delivered, or both.
I think the thing that I appreciate the most, which is why I go into the restaurants that we have, is that luxury doesn't always need to be a big highlight or a big exclamation point. A lot of times somebody goes to luxury for reliability, whether that's reliability in perception of yourself, it's reliability about the people you're entertaining. And usually there's some story and history to that piece or that experience so that somebody feels like they're part of something greater. And so a group that I worked for in the past that I was the most impressed with, a little biased, but it was the Hillstone Group, the Houston's restaurant, which you may understand their first location was here in Nashville, actually. And
Sure.
I worked with them before I ever moved to Nashville. But it was the joke within a few of us in the company that it was the billionaires' Applebee's, right? But the reason is people came in Bentleys, Range Rovers, Rolls Royce, but they were in 3-4 days a week. What would drive somebody with unlimited resources to go to a place that many times when they could go anywhere, right? They go there for a sense of consistency and curation that most places cannot achieve, especially in restaurants. The most important thing is consistency. The hardest thing is consistency in an environment that somebody can be proud of, right? Or not embarrassed of. So the experience that I always speak to, or is more of a general broad swath of experiences, is there's a reason for everything. So when I first went to a Hillstone restaurant, there was an immediate attention given to you. So you were seen immediately, which is important for everybody, especially for those that can buy anything, right?
For sure.
Being able to be seen, which takes a lot of systems on the back end to make sure everything's running smoothly and you're seen immediately, right? You order the food, every single time it comes out, it is with you, right? That they can make sure that you can rely on what you're about to do. You're not about to be embarrassed. And if something does happen, it's very, very clear that there's a system to actually make up for it because nobody's perfect. There's blemishes in everything, right? There's blemishes in handbags. If you go to a Range Rover dealership and something comes out and it's wrong, they're not just fixing the foot pedal that came or the foot extension that comes out. They are driving to your next place. They're making sure that your car was washed every single day for the next week, right? For coming in, you mentioned that if your dog passed away, they will, again, what's it going to take to make you feel better? It's not about the car, it's about the overall experience. And so the same is true with that group, was if something came up, they were looking for opportunities to do small moments that made you feel seen. And if something messed up, just like anything can with a product, they had a very clear solution that was thought through, but also felt extremely curated to your specific negative experience.
And to that point, that's all they're looking for. They're looking for acknowledgement, right? Acknowledge it, own it, and then how are we going to make it right? Right? Working through that is so often today when there's a conflict, people deny it. Oh, and they're like, oh, that wasn't our fault, or they don't take responsibility. And luxury is the other way, right? Luxury is taking responsibility and solving it, making it right. What's it take to make it right? So we spilled that glass of wine. Let's get you another one, excuse me. And we're going to take care of it. Like that, wow, is such a big deal. Now, right, I mean, you don't want to be comping all the liquor all the time. That's a profit center for sure. But at the same time, that ends it. It stopped right there in the moment. So
one experience, again, it's the opportunity is with our types of restaurants, it's elevated casual, but people don't expect at Michelin, they might expect actually those extra steps. But the opportunity for us is for it to take those extra steps when somebody may not expect it, which feels like luxury. One thing that we did once is that there was a somewhat regular, and they called and they had to cancel a reservation because they had COVID. And this was actually that kind of the whole COVID rush. And it was an elderly couple. So instead we were like, oh, are you in the mood for soup today? We were. And so we ended up just drove it by their house, left it for them. And they had a little task. It took 15 minutes. They lived right up the street, but they come back every other week. But it's those little touches that make a difference.
French onion?
You actually care. It was French onion.
Yes, of course it was.
It is.
Listen,
yeah,
I think I've sucked on 2 or 3 of those ramekins trying to get all the cheese off the top of it. So amazing. Well done. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure they very much have been extremely loyal. They were loyal to begin with, but they locked in even more after that. So amazing. Well, the definition of luxury is changing constantly, especially in the past 10 years through COVID and then technology, and just our timing as a society has changed. So what do you see, or how has the definition of luxury changed in the past 10 years?
I think because everything is so accessible now, right? There's cheap luxury, right? There's different looks. Before it wasn't as accessible. There's more companies are more globalized. There's more technology online. There's more accessibility than anything to get style. So I think right now luxury, if I were to say, or in unique touches. Everybody wants luxury nowadays in the world of TikTok and perception. So there is traditional luxury in the sense of buying Cartier, but there's also a sense of approachable luxury and a care for yourself that I think is really exciting. There are moisturizers for men that they actually care about now. That's exciting because ultimately when you're 40 or 50, if it's acceptable when you're 20 and people aren't making fun of you for doing it, or maybe you're even showing it off on TikTok as a 20-year-old, you're going to look better, feel better when you're 50, right?
Look at this beautiful moisturized face right here. 48 years strong, but looking 38.
So I think the difference is that it's much more acceptable to a different income bracket, which is exciting. So right now it's a matter of picking and choosing what your luxury is. So for some people it's skincare, some people it's cold plunges that has had a level of luxury to it from an athletic standpoint. And then there's also the luxury of picking the one piece that you're going to show off, right? I may have the shirt from China because I don't have the money right now, but I'm gonna splurge on that $700,000 jacket that I can wear on multiple occasions or certain occasions and layer that with other things that are more affordable because we are moving into a world of wellness and feeling better. So whether that's mental health or physical health, I think you can define it as luxuries weaving itself into everyday life, which is really exciting because at the end of the day, what I think luxury is telling yourself that you're worth it. Right? Before, you had to like have all this money to say that you're worth it, but we have been given options, technology, resources, other countries to gain access to different versions of luxury. And the better we can to tell ourselves that we're worth it, the better we are going to be at doing our jobs, at feeling mental health, being a good example for your kids, that you take care of yourself. I think the accessibility is one of the biggest changes. It's something I'm really excited about.
Yeah, there's no question. That's great. What do you think about how important exclusivity is versus accessibility in today's luxury?
I mean, it's still very important. It's still very important. I mean, honestly, I think right now, again, it's providing options.
Sure.
So we want to provide, as a restaurant, we try to provide a version of luxury to the masses, but then there's also different levels of tiers that people can opt into. Right. So if it's talking about luxury and curation, we provide like a once a quarter event for people that want to spend to come into what we call a neighbor day or we're about to start a membership club. I think we're going to call it Up Society, but where we actually offer different, almost Amazon Prime of benefits for people that want to become part of the club. So they get access to a wine dinner, which is, again, a certain community that they get access to. They'll have access to different events that we have, even some partnerships that we're developing. And then the best thing about a restaurant is losing in the world, I feel like, is real community with real people that you can connect with.
Yeah.
And so just getting into those rooms, because there will be a fee to it. I think the key is in tiers, providing options in terms of luxury, but a baseline is important, but there's exclusivity as you go up. And it's also exciting to graduate into that exclusivity.
Yeah, there's no question. I could say from my experience, like you have to really judge it. You just don't know who's coming through the door. And literally for me or for you. And being in real estate, some people want to be picked up every single time and they want a car service sent and they want a welcome basket available when they're there. And there's others that are like, hey, I've only got 2 hours. I need to see these 3 houses. It's the only 2 hours I have for the next 2 weeks. Like time is the luxury for them. And so you got to really define and lean in on whatever that may be, right? You may be having this lovely dinner, but I've seen it for sure in Germantown is that we come into there and you have tickets for anything tonight. Are we having a European dinner where it's going to be 2.5 hours, no sweat? Cool. Please be comfortable. Or if you've got to be out in 40 minutes to make curtain, you got to go. Yep. Are you ready now? You've been here before? Yep. French onion soup.
Good to go. Yeah, here's the
Pork
check.
medallions.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
Out. Thank you very much. Same for lunch.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You just never know. And so seeing your all staff and you all do that very intentionally, maybe one of the first times I ever saw it, I remember it like it happened this morning.
Another thing about the companies of luxury is they teach the ability to break down systematically how to provide those experiences. So something I recently experienced, I really want to roll out at the company. Again, learned this actually at a Range Rover dealership, was something called the DISC profile, right? You can learn about people. What is where are their leanings from a personality standpoint? And then how can you curate the experience to give them the value in the way that they want? The D is somebody who is very almost like a bull. Their biggest fear is not wasting time. So getting straight to the point, getting the bottle right in front of them, getting the order in so they can focus on the people that they're with is really important. Whereas somebody like me, who's an I that I found out, somebody who likes to gain the influence of others, sometimes it's nice to explain the full story so that the others around them feel really excited. I think that the systematic nature of training behind a luxury brand or company is important.
There's no question. And the systems end up in some of the success, right? When you're going through and you're doing some of those systems and then all of a sudden it's automatic and you're like, just so we're clear, anything where you need to go. But it can go just the opposite way. If you're executing that system, but it's not connecting, then that can be a bad experience. I've had one where it was multiple messages. So they were prepared. They knew what was happening. It was outside of a restaurant. It was a different experience, but we emailed, we called, we messaged, we told someone else. It was 3 or 4 steps in. And then when we got there to the actual moment, they still weren't ready. They missed it. And so it was a negative experience. It took away from Lux. Like, you were trying to hold it here to have this really positive thing, but we just missed the mark. So let me ask you, do you have a way that you choose to educate clients value or the price points? If price points tend to seem higher, is there a way that you're doing that, either maybe with the club or in individual patrons?
I guess if you take an approach of the experience with the brand, so one thing that we're digging in with now, especially with the legacy brands that have so much history behind them, is first trying to tell the story, right? To build the anticipation, because a lot of, like anything in this world, anticipation builds a lot of the value in the first place, right? So whether that's through socials, whether that's through the stories of the brand, whether it's through emails or text if they've already been in before. And so we're really working on building the story and the aura, the je ne sais quoi of it before people even enter, or friends who have come can send that feeling to others to build it. And then on the way in, one of our values that we kind of redefined with the company as we really start digging into Nashville is we're storytellers, right? And so that can come from telling the story of the samurai wood, right, that you just talked about.
Yeah.
Because the value may not be in the wine. You may not even like the wine, but the value that you could tell somebody that you did that, or the people, you had that shared experience that you'll remember and refer back to at the next business dinner, the next interaction, that's worth the $4,000 price tag, right? Because you had a shared experience, which provides value at another time. And so we, again, try to break down stories for our dishes because they have stories and weave them into the experience. Like, again, creme brulee. Somebody might not say, would you like to try dessert? They may say, have you heard the story of our creme brulee? Which has a really fun story, and a lot of our dishes have specific stories. And so we're finally being able to step into an area too where we have a wine director who actually focuses on curation and can elaborate on those stories and be really good with telling the sum of 2 parts, i.e. a wine and food, and how that creates a greater whole. And so, I mean, the tough part about restaurants is everything has to go right? So every point of interaction, every timing, because if one thing is off, if you don't get greeted the right way, you have a bad taste in your mouth. And so it's, again, telling the story, making sure the systems are in place, and you have a system for when you mess up, because you're going to at some point, just to show that you really care.
I love that. That's such that was powerful. That aligned with me, like the story here. If you go up and they're just like, hey, y'all want dessert? You're going to get a no anyway. Yeah. So when you change the words that you say and are like, have you heard the story about our creme brulee? Like, that's less risky. You still get the no, but you're now telling the story, and now you've got an opportunity. You're in a different platform. Like, well, let me tell you about it. Like, if they said no, you're like, no, I said no. Like, I'm in the middle of telling a story. I need you to leave. I'm a high I too, by the way. And I mean, I know that's shocking to you. You're like, yeah, gotcha. Knew that. But believe it or not, I have the high D that mixes in there. And so that D is like, no, I said no. Like, I'm in the middle of something, like whether it's a business lunch or whatever, you may be telling us another story. And so you don't want to be disruptive. But when you say, okay, let me ask you, and now you hit it, you're going to increase. I mean, I bet it's a 50% close rate when you open
85.
85. No way. Is that a real number? Oh my gosh. I couldn't love that more. I mean,
and if they don't, it's like, well, no, again, you have to read the guest. Oh, no, we're not. But if you were, what would you get if it wasn't the creme brulee?
Yes.
And then you bring them in anyways, and they're like, this, it's not me. I can't let you leave without you trying it, because, of course, next time the confidence in the product is theirs.
Love that so much. Couple more. Tell us something that's the most intricate or time-sensitive process behind creating one of your products or services. Like, what's something you spend a lot curating?
I mean, everything is very time-sensitive. I mean, they say that you won't remember what people say, you remember how you make them feel, right? And so you can have, not saying that we do, but you can have, I believe you can have pretty average food, but amazing experiences. Again, you always push for both. And so one of the most intricate, time-extensive things is onboarding to training process if you really take it seriously. We put a lot of effort into a job posting just to show people that we actually invest in our people. Like, we put a lot of effort, psychological stuff into our job postings. So we get a lot of applications, and when they come in, we have a very thought out process to hire people, right? We make them do physical tests in an approachable way. We ask certain questions. We search for ways that are conscious and subconscious. Greeters before they even think they're being interviewed, they're being interviewed. And then we have follow-ups. We have 2 people that do it. And then when they pass that, the training process is positively intense. When they come in, like a lot of restaurants, there's tests every single day, but there's a big cultural piece too, right? We drive back and forth, up and down our values of the restaurant. People end up rolling their eyes the first day, and then by the 6th day, they're like, okay, we get it. Like if your purpose is to provide community for your neighbors, I can't grade a table over 30 seconds because that makes them feel ignored, right? Until they really get that, like, oh, we're doing this for a purpose, not just a freaking paycheck, or like just to like create it because 30 seconds because I don't know, I can turn the table faster. No, we're doing it because we actually want people to feel something, i.e. luxury. Like until they internalize that, it's really hard for them to get out of training. And where we're at with 3 restaurants, it's in a pivotal time where you have to make those things law, right? Before it's like they turn into suggestions and you have to come back in and say, no, this is how it happens every time. So we're at the tail end of that, but I'm really excited for that, for when anybody can walk in, we can walk in and be 99% confident that it's happening every time.
I heard you say something really interesting, that on the 6th day, people get frustrated and they're like, yeah, we get it. But I can tell you from personal experience, not with your brand or any of your restaurants, but a place that I frequent all the time, a very, very regular 2 to 3 times a week person. And the greeter was a friend, someone I know personally. One day, someone was there when she wasn't. And there was a whole different experience and a whole different standard that was shared that I knew not to be true. And they were saying that out of lack of training. And I've kindly but firmly corrected them. And I was like, I think you're going to find that if you, and I named the GM and the owner and the head chef and the head hostess, I said, I think if you look in their notes, we can do what we're trying to do here. And that got kind of big. Like I wasn't just a random. And I think that's something we're learning in Nashville, is that we're bigger than we used to be. We're not this 150 to 200,000 sleepy southern town that I grew up in. We now have migration, which is wonderful, from all sides of the country and the world for that matter, which has created an amazing food scene. And yet you see some of these non-typical Nashville heritage brand experiences. And it's just so important because someone may not have been there in maybe 4 or 5 days, maybe 4 or 5 months, but they know because you've been this standard and you've got to be there and show up like they're expecting it, or you'll lose them.
And that's the key with luxury, is like they've figured out the systems to do it. And by no means are we perfect, but we are definitely striving to get to that point where like that reliability, where guests have come so often, just like you did, and they'd be like, they won't post anything on socials or on reviews. They're just like, I know the standard. I've experienced it 99% of the time. I just really don't want somebody else to get it because I love this place. Like I love it. I don't want this person behind me to feel what you just feel because it's amazing, right? And so they'll like kindly write a note to an owner or the manager, the GM, and it is truly helpful, right? Because you can tell it comes from a place of care, because it is very hard to see some gaps that miss, or one person, the offshoot thing. But when it happens again, if they care, if they have the system, they can actually pull and retrain, and hopefully you minimize that impact.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got a couple more as we go. Tell us about a trend that you're starting to see in the restaurants between your customers and patrons.
Trend right now is, I mean, honestly, because of this is the fight. What we're really positioned to be in a good place for is, I'm going to say, more current trend. So I'm not sure if this gets played a year from now, but because the economy is kind of getting a little tight, a little congested, what we're seeing is people are tending to reduce the number of meals that they go out per week. So if they were to go out to lunch 3 times a week and dinner once, they may only go to lunch once a week and dinner once a week. And so the reason that we're set up pretty well for that situation, which before we even got into this type of restaurant we knew about, is a place like us, a place like Bergtop's, Hillstone, those types of restaurants, is still very approachable if you want to be conservative in your spending, right? Because you can still feel very proud about going there. You still get a really great product, and maybe you're going to not choose to go to the place where you're spending thousands, but maybe you'll spend multiple hundred.
Yeah.
But you still get a very similar service standard. And you can still bring probably the same person there, and the reaction variance is not that high. The law of diminishing returns isn't so great, right? So we think this elevated casual is actually going to really, this, I guess, is a prediction, but I think it's actually going to be pretty successful as we move into these next few months or year.
What about how has social changed in the restaurant landscape?
I think we all know influencers are a thing, and the price of marketing is also increasing. The biggest trend in restaurants in the past, you'd have equal distributions of like pay and resources that you put into service and food, right? The chef, the GM, the products that you do, the training, the cost it takes to do training or wine training. But now it is almost the price tag is almost as much to invest in your marketing, right? Which means that you need to be extremely good at running your business, because in order to provide the value that people are willing to spend for, it's cart before the horse, right? You really need to be all in or nothing, because if you're not providing the experience and putting all the resources and the time behind providing the experience, then you can't afford the marketing that it takes to get people through the door. So that's probably one of the biggest trends, is the marketing taking up an even greater share of the resources that it takes to provide the experience in the first place.
I mean, look at us. We're here today because of a social post that you made on the brand's page that got us connected, which we were connected personally anyway. And that's the accidental on purpose, that you're going to end up with 40 or 50 people come to across the brand because they're listening to this. I'm like, man, I got to go get that creme brulee. And I don't know about these pork medallions Alex is talking about, but by God, like, I'm a good eater. Like, I've got a good palate. So, but it's funny how that can be. And then you get influencers that come in and can and do affect that too. It's a really interesting time, especially for us, that we had perspective of it before and professional experience before it was there. And then now that it is, it's just a really interesting place that you have to spend some time. You definitely do. What is one luxury experience item that you think everyone should experience at least once?
Can I do something ultra?
You could do anything you want.
Just because it's my life. I think everybody should go to a ballroom dance studio. So it's so strange, but I do. It just, like, I know I've been doing it since I was little, but there's just so many benefits to it, because you walk in a room where people are developing themselves. Usually, from a luxury perspective, it's not inexpensive. So you have doctors, you have lawyers, but you also have people that, like, maybe don't have a lot, but they put everything into it. And it has a social impact that you're forced to interact, because you literally dance with other people a lot of times, that we're lacking in today's world as we move forward, right? You actually are forced to cross lines, and you have this common denominator of an interest, or at least an experience, if it's not necessarily an interest, that allows you to open up your brain and grow as a person. And the events are very fun from a luxury perspective. That one dress that you only bought once, you're like, when the heck am I ever gonna wear this ever again? You wear it there. You got the Rolex, you wear it there. You got that specialty car that, like, you want to roll up in, you bring it there, and everybody, it's normal, right? And so from a interpersonal perspective, but also just from the good old fashioned luxury perspective, it's such a great experience.
I love that. There was a time I think I took one of my children, my daughter, my oldest, that we were doing dates where we were going to learn to ballroom dance for a while, and should have done more of that for sure. So, because she remembers it was like 3-4 weeks, right? It was a package or something, and we definitely should have done more. All right, so we're down to the last question, and this has been really great, but I love this one because it really makes you think, and we close with this. So the last question is, in your book of life, what is the current chapter and what is it called?
That's a good question.
That's why I saved it.
I would call it the cocoon phase. I'm really excited because I have 3 young restaurants in terms of, like, ownership perspective. I have 2 young kids. I really enjoy this marketing and storytelling behind life, whether that's to show it to your kids or I've had the fortune to pursue everything I've loved, which is rare. Not everybody gets the chance to do it. So there's a story to it. There's ups and downs. It's either that or, like, Netflix. I guess the Netflix series, because maybe we'll transition to the Netflix series, just because every good series, there's ups and downs, and there's a bottoming out, but it would be the most boring series if you just gave up and ate potato chips for the rest of the show until the end. But all the ups and downs with a trajectory of up is where it gets exciting to watch. And so I try to view life as everything that's given to us is given to us for a reason, to learn and to get practice at the things that for the person you want to become. And so there are no lack of challenges with the 3 restaurants, 200 employees, and a couple young kids, and managing a marriage, which I actually am very one of my greatest assets. So I think we're about to come out as a cocoon, because the group is really at a really great tipping point from be able to provide that luxury, I would say. But I'm also excited for family life and marriage life as well. So
That's beautiful. I'm not going to screw that up. That was well said and so eloquent. So I'm just yes. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for joining us. If people want to connect with you, what's your favorite platform? What's your ways? Where do you want them to reach out to you?
Reach out to me anyway. The more fun way is Instagram, right? Sean Daniel Lyons is the Instagram handle, just because we can interact. I can see what your life's like. And I'm a curious person. That's why I am in the world that I am. So that might be the most fun way to connect with me, but you can always connect with me via email at Sean, SEAN, at uphospitalitypartners.com as well.
Amazing, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Luxury. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to follow, rate, and share this with someone you know that would like to know more about the finer things in luxury and how things are done differently. I'm Alex, and I'll catch you next time as we keep defining what luxury really means.